Where's the arms? Robot man. Hello, friends and family. This is Megan Bowen, aka 저는 미국 사람. And the question that I get, I think the most, or every question I say, I get it the most, but you guys always want to know, Megan, how did you learn Korean? Megan, how long does it take you to be fluent? Megan, what are some easy ways to learn Korean? But I think more times than not, I always get questions about easy ways to learn Korean, or people say, oh, I tried learning Korean, it's too hard, it's too hard. So before I give you some tips on language learning, I'm gonna give you some little encouragement speech. Because it feels like these days when people start doing something, they want it to be easy. Someone's like, oh, I want to acquire a new skill. I'm like, great, work hard. Then after 5 minutes of trying, they're like, it's too hard, and they give up. Really? Things are not easy. You got to work for them. Especially learning languages, it requires work. So if you do not want to work, then you're not going to learn a language. So a lot of times people say, oh, well, you learned Korean in 3 years. You must be really gifted at learning languages. That's why you learned it, because you're gifted at learning languages. And they use other people's examples as a reason to say that they can't do it or they're not good at it, because they compare themselves to other people. Don't compare yourself to other people. Maybe somebody can learn Korean in a year. Maybe you need 3 or 4 years or 5 years to learn it. Everybody's different. But do not let other people be an excuse that keeps you from doing something. Does it make sense? Oh, I'm not gonna do this because he's better at it than me. You know what? You work hard and you become better than that other person. Now, I will admit, some people's brains are probably made better for learning languages, and maybe some people can absorb information better, but they still have to work hard at it. They can't just know it just because they are doing this. Ooh, now I've acquired Chinese skills. So for many of you guys who are feeling discouraged about learning Korean, just work hard. It's hard. Yes, I did learn Korean, and to some people it seems like it's a very quick time period that I learned Korean, but it's because I worked hard. It's like I made opportunities. I was like, yo, let me hang out with you and all your Korean friends. We go there, I'm sitting there in the cafe, there's like 5 Korean people and me, and they're all talking so fast and I have no idea what's going on, and I like went home and cried because I was just like, I have no idea what's going on, I don't know what to do, and it was overwhelming and frustrating. But I took those opportunities and just learned. I sat down and learned. It takes time, it's hard, it requires struggle and strength, but you can do it. And many of you guys want to know how I was learning Korean. I made a video before about how I'm learning Korean, so if you haven't seen it, then it's gonna be right here, right here, right here, right here, right here. And it's an old video, so I was a little bit long-winded in the beginning, so you might want to skip a little bit. Skip. I do live in Korea, so most of these tips are for people who live in Korea, but you can take away some of them if you don't live in Korea too. So yay, let's go. So the first one is to don't translate in your mind every word into your language, because that slows you down a little bit. 의자. This is 의자. Don't think, oh, what is this again? Oh, in English it's chair. Oh, in Korean, what is chair in Korean? 의자. Just know that this is 의자. You live and you breathe 의자, even if you're not in Korea, okay? And I notice that helps me. So in my mind, I'm not constantly thinking about what the word is in my language or whatever. I'm just like, this is the 의자. I think of it as another word for that thing instead of trying to figure out what it means in my language. And that will help you a lot. And if you do that with actions, it will help you even more. So the second tip that I have is don't get caught up in what every word means. So it's just basically like what I'm saying with the chair. Don't try and translate the object into your own language. Same thing for action. Just try and see what kind of feeling this word means, and then know this feeling in this situation is this word. So for example, there's a word in Korean called Toptop. You will hear it often if you're in Korea, Toptop. And you know, I didn't know what it meant at first, but I saw when everybody said Toptop. We're in the car. It is a little bit hot and stuffy, and so he asked, you know, open the window, and they're like, why? He's like, 답답해서. Like, because I feel 답답해, like it was stuffy, I felt kind of like, ugh. Or sometimes if you feel frustrated in certain situations, you can say 답답해. And I don't know to this day exactly how to translate 답답해 to English, so I just learned the feeling behind the word. Instead of trying to translate it into my language, I know when to use it and what time to use it, and that helps. And actually that makes it easier, because when Korean people talk, they're very like, I mean, in dramas you don't see it as much, but when people talk in real life, they're very like, a lot of people can be very animated. So like, for example, when I was in the DIP that just went up with Pillim, when Pillim was trying to tell me about the turtles and like how to feed the turtles, I didn't understand 100% every word. He used one verb and I didn't know what that verb meant, but he was like, "손을 이렇게 하면 안 돼." Like, don't put your hand like this. But he used a verb that means to extend your arm. And I don't know how to say extend your arm, but because he was extending his arm and I know the word for hands and arm, then he went like this. I just know he means don't extend your arm. And then after that, he went to say, "딱 이렇게," like exactly like this. So don't extend your arm, put it in exactly like this. Even though I didn't know that verb that he used, I understand in that situation. And also the Korean language is set up where the verb is at the end of the sentence. And I notice a lot of Korean people talk around the subjects and I'm like, bro, why are you saying all of this stuff? Just tell me the main points. So they'll be like, blah, 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 blah. So, blah, blah. And that was really all you needed to hear. Even if you didn't understand everything in the beginning, then you know the main verb, so you understand what's going on. You can look at everything. Look at the context, you know. Where are we? Are we in an ice cream shop? Okay, if you're going like this and you put something in your mouth and you frown and make a comment, obviously you're not saying something good about the ice cream. So even if you don't know exactly every word, you still understand the feeling like behind it. So, yeah. And the next tip that you can do is put 2 and 2 together. Since I've been like doing the business stuff, you learn lots of words. Like anything that ends in "so," it's usually a type of document. I mean, not everything, but in this context, it's usually a document. So then, whenever I wanted to say a document, I just guessed. Like 계획 means plans. So I was like, all right, if I'm gonna say I'm gonna give them a plan of this, then I was just like, 계획서. And they're like, oh, okay. And I was like, is that a real word? And then later on, I looked up 계획서. It's a real word. And I was like, score 1 for the mega team. So the next one is don't be afraid to say, like to speak out. A lot of people are afraid because they don't want to be wrong in Korean. They don't want to, you know, mess up something. But that's why children learn so well, because they don't care. They look at what's going on around them and they're like, okay, my mom says this to me. So in this same situation, I'm going to say it to someone else and see how they respond. And so just go for it. They're not going to chop your head off. They're not going to be like, you're stupid, ha ha. You know what I mean? That's not going to happen. So you have to like erase those fears and you just got to talk. You just got to tell people stuff. You just got to try and say the words and you learn from those situations. Because if you say something wrong, which I have done before, and it turns out to be embarrassing because you say the wrong thing. One time I happened to be saying a sexual word instead of what is that word? I cannot think of that specific word for the life of me. But there have been times where I've been saying a word wrong and everybody's like, it sounds a little bit weird or like inappropriate if you say this. Maybe you were talking about this, and I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, I felt embarrassed, of course, but people know that you're not trying to be a pervert and say something nasty. They know that you're not trying to like hurt them on purpose or like, you know, offend them. So they'll correct you. Don't worry about that. Just try. If you really want to learn the language, just get out there, try, talk to people. So one thing I hear from a lot of like people who are in Korea who are saying they're trying to learn Korean but not really learning it is that, oh, well, the Korean people always speak English to me, so I don't have opportunities to learn. Yes, you do. I'm in Korea and the same thing happened to me. Like people always talk to me in English, but I never respond in English. I always respond in Korean. Are you speaking to me in English? I am in your country, bro. We need to be speaking your language because I am trying to learn your language. And try and make opportunities. I made opportunities like so many times where I put myself in situations where I'm just gonna be with Korean people who don't speak English. It was hard, it was awkward, like I said before, like I cried. But it's better that way. And my best friend in Korea, Toy, hey Toyana Brown, I love you girl, Toyana Ray Brown. And so she speaks Korean fluently as well. So we talk to people together. So like it'll be me and her hanging out with like 1 or 2 other Korean friends. So we're here, so like let's say something I don't understand, then she'll look at me and be like, is this? And then whatever she doesn't know, I know. Whatever I don't know, she knows. And we learn together. Even before I could really speak Korean, I'd be like, 우리 같이 밥 먹을래? Like just like that. And then we would get together and we'd have no idea what to say to each other. It'd be so awkward. But still, just try, just do it. You know what I mean? You learn a lot and you grow a lot in yourself. You become bold and confident. And I don't know, you just learn a lot. Just try it, just try it. And I love you guys so much. I really appreciate, how much we've grown. We're like 135,000 people. I never expected that. So thank you guys so much for the love and support. And Because of you guys, I've gotten so many opportunities I've been allowed to do, so I really appreciate that so much. You guys are freaking awesome. Don't forget you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat. I will see ya.